Welcome back to Yerushalmi Yoma. We're praying Chamishi Halacha Hey, which is Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. Now we're talking about the avodah of Yom Kippur. The Torah says the Kohen Gadol goes out to the Mizbeach and provides a kapara. He takes from the blood of the par, the blood of the goat. He puts it on the corners of the Mizbeach. So how does he put it on the corners of the golden Mizbeach? How does he do it? Here's the Mechat of a Yerid. So he comes down to smear it with his finger, from the mixture on the corners of the golden Mizbeach. Right? From one corner and downwards. Which corner does he start from? It's the northeast corner. Right? Now he's coming towards the Mizbeach. The northeast is straight on his left, and it's the end one, which is next to the front door, right? So Mekem Mizrachis Tzafainis, which is the northeast, and then he goes round to Tzafainis Maravis. So that is already the northwest, so he's coming towards himself. And then Maravis Draimis, the west, southwest, and then Draimis Mizrachis, the southeast. Malcolm Shul Maskel B'Chatos, the place where he starts with the Chatos, which is brought on the Mizbeach HaChitzon, on the outer Mizbeach, which is like the southeast corner. Sham Gomer, that's where he finishes the Dam Yom Kippur Mizbeach HaPnimi on the golden Mizbeach. Rebbe Lezer says, he wouldn't walk round the Mizbeach, he would stand next to it. Al Kulan, on all the corners, he smears the blood with his finger from the bottom upwards, except the northeast corner, which he used to smear it from above downwards. Okay, so he's going past the Mizbeach and stopping at the northeast corner. Now, why not start at the southeast corner? Like, where he would start with the outer Mizbeach, that's where you'd start with the Chatas. Always you have to turn to the right. Okay? Now, and facing the Mizbeach. So the north is his right. The south is his left. If he turns to the southeast, Einzu Yemanis, that's not turning to the right. So why not start from the northwest corner? And that way, that's the first one you meet after you've finished all the paraychas. That's the first one you'll see is the northwest corner. On Rebbe Lezer, it says V'yatsa el Mizbeach. He goes out. He has to leave his place and go to the other side of the Mizbeach before he puts the dam, and therefore he has to go past the Mizbeach and stand between it and the entrance. Why not start from the southwest corner? Because there again he's going to the other side of the Mizbeach. So when it says we don't want him to put his back to the Kodesh Kodashim when he's going past it on the southwest corner. Now eventually, even if you start in the northeast corner, he's still going to turn round and he's going to have his back to the Kodesh Kodashim anyway. So why can't he in the first place go along that area? So the Gemara answers, no, he would not have his back to the Beis Mikdash. After he reaches the northwest corner, he would go backwards and go in the clockwise way around the Mizbeach until he reached the southwest corner. So he only he didn't turn his back to the Kodesh Kodashim at all. Now, if that's the case, he has to go around the south side of the Mizbeach. Why not stand in the south and begin there putting the blood on the south, Mikaron Mizrachis, Dromis, like the southeast corner, because that's where he's there first. Why not start there? So the answer is Yemanis, that really you always have to turn to the right. If you put the blood on the southeast corner and after that on the southwest corner, then Einzu Yemanis, he's not really turning to the right, he's turning to the left. So he has to go first to the southwest corner and then turn to his right to put the blood on the southeast corner. Okay, now we bring Rebbe Lezer that he would stay in his place, right? And he would put all the corners, all the dippings from the bottom upwards, except the one faced to him, which he put, or opposite him rather, which he put the blood from the top down. Now we bring a brisa here. Tani, we've learned in the brisa. He stayed in his place and he put the blood on every corner. He always started from the top, going downwards. Except for this one, which was at his opposite diagonal of the Mizbeach. And that one he started from the bottom and went upwards. And he said Shneim. Both the Chachamim. Now the Chachamim said he went round. According to Beleza, he stayed in one place. So Shneim Mikra Chadosh, and they learned from the same pasuk. The pasuk says you go on the corners Saviv around. The Rabbanan Amri, they said Saviv means the Hiduch, has to walk around. The Veleza, he says Saviv Lekronos, that means the corners. That you have to go around the corners, but not that you go around yourself. Shnei Kohanim Baruchu B'Pul Mosiyos. 2 Kohanim from Yerushalmi ran away when the army came to cause trouble in Yerushalmi. One said, over there, you see, I used to stand for Machatze and do the blood. The other one said, Manachis, I used to walk around. You don't know, this tells me, you see, basically, they have different customs. The Kohanim could do what they wanted. They could stay in one place or they could walk around. You seem surprised by that. Yeah? They could do what they wanted. There was no official view on this. He says here, see Tosis Yeshodim and Tosis Arash. Okay, I haven't got it. But anyway, Allah Chava. Here's after he sprinkles from the part on the side which are mixed, Artirah from Mizbeach, on the open area of the top of the Mizbeach, Sheva Palmim 7 times. Right, that's the golden Mizbeach. Shirai Adam, the leftovers of the blood, and he would pour it on the western foundation, the side on the west side, Mizbeach of the outer Mizbeach, that's the outer one, yeah, and Shal Mizbeach Achitzai, and the leftover blood of a chatas which was brought on the outer Mizbeach, would go on the side on the south side, not the west side, but on the south side of the outer Mizbeach. Elu ve'elu, and then all the shirayim from all the inner Mizbeach, inner chatas, and outer chatas, Mizav ba'ama, they collect in the stream. There's like a canal that went through the Hazara. And they go there, and they could be sold for fertilizer to the gardeners. There would be an Isamila, therefore you can't use it without paying for using it. Okay, now, here's the alav. So you sprinkle 7 times on the top of the Mizbeach. The word alav tells me, not on its ash, alav, not on the coals. So you have to clear a bit of space on the Mizbeach. Some say you sprinkle the blood 7 times, Sadasafoni, the north side of the top of the Mizbeach. Some say Sadromi, the south side. Mandama Sadasafoni, the one who says on the north side, Rebeleza. It's like Rebeleza in the previous Mishnah, that you put the blood in the 4 corners where you're standing in one place, and in the northeast corner, the Mizbeach. So once you finish it, you're putting it on the top of the Mizbeach, you do it in front of you, which is the north side. Mandama, the one said beside Romi, you're putting it on the south, Karabanan. It's like the Rabbanan, according to them, you put in the corners, you're walking around. You finish your walking, southeast corner. And straight after that, you sprinkle on the Mizbeach, so that's where you are. Rabbi Yosef said, Zersim, and this is the rule. Now, what things come from where? Kol Hanitel Mibachutz. Anything taken from the outer Mizbeach, and it's going into the Heichal, Li'inasim Bifnim, to go inside the Heichal, like coals for the Ketores. Nita, where do you take it from? If it's going to come in, where do you take it from? Nita min asamach lifnim. You take it from the nearest side of the outer Mizbeach. Yeah, the nearest area you can take it from, that's where you take it from if it's coming in. Anything coming from inside going outwards, to go like the leftover of the blood or whatever, again, you take it from the nearest side, right, to the Heichal, that's the western side, sorry. Means the most inner part of the Heichal. That's the western side of the outer Mizbeach. One second, let's read this again. Something leaving the inside of the Heichal. To be put on the Mizbeach outside the Heichal. Then Nitan is placed on the outer Mizbeach lifnim. Right. It's placed on the nearest part of the outer Mizbeach. You hear that? That's the western side of the outer Mizbeach. So we take it out, the nearest part we get to, that's where we put it down. Now, this rule is said like taking the coals for the Ketores, the Shiyarei Adam, which is going outside. They always go to the closest part. So there are other dinim, the coals every day, and Ner Maravi, the fire for the Ner Maravi every day. I learned from the coals of Yom Kippur as to where they're taken from. The 2 spoons of Levina, and the maiden, I learned the Shirah Adam from leftover blood of the Chatas. So just like leftover blood of the Chatas is poured at the western side of the Mizbeach, which is the closest part to the Heichal, so the 2 spoons of Levina of Lechem Panim are put on the Mizbeach in the western part, which is closest to the Heichal. Now, as far as the Par Chatos the Kohen Gadol brings, where let's say a Kohen made a mistake, and they bring a par helam dava, right? The Kohen gave a wrong psak and people followed him. It says, "As kol dama par yishbach," all the blood is spilt at the Yesod Mizbach Ha'olah. Now the word par is extra because we're talking about the par. So what's he talking about? The rabbis dama par shel Yom Kippur, to include the Yom Kippur one as well. The shvicha, that blood is also spilt at the Yesod of the Mizbech. Why does it not mention the goat? That's also spilt. Look, they're all in one mixture together anyway by now. So the par blood is spilt with the side blood. They're all mixed together. We said, all the blood you shall pour at the side. The word hapar, the rabbis, dam, pa, Yom Kippurim, to include the par of Yom Kippur, Messiah, and the one of the goat of Yom Kippur, Lishvicha, that they are poured down the side of the Mizbeach HaChitzon. Right. We've said it before, I'll say it again, Rabbi say. Where was the side? We said which sides of the Mizbeach? We said it was the south side and the west side, correct? South and the west. Why those sides? Do you remember what I've said before? Maybe I haven't said it in this year. South and west. Because the Yesod is a reference to Yosef. Big Kabbalah Yesod is Yosef and Tzaddik, right? Who caused trouble to Yosef? Any offers?
His brothers.
Which brothers? Who mainly? Ruvain was one of them. Who else? Any other offers? Yehuda. Right? There were 4 Degalim. There were 4 flags. Remember of the tribes where they camped in the different directions? Yehuda was a Degel, had some tribes with him. Reuven was a Degel, had some tribes with him. Who were the other Degalim? One was Ephraim, and one was, I think, Dan. So one was Ephraim. Now Ephraim didn't cause any trouble to Yosef. So where he was camped, that direction had a Yesod around the Mizbeach. So the Yesod directions of the Mizbeach went together with the way they camped in the Midbar. So where Yehuda camped, there was no Yesod, because of the trouble Yehuda caused on Yosef. Where Reuven, there was no Yesod. However, we said, what was it, the southwest, we said? The southwest, you had Ephraim and you had Dan. Dan was Bnei Shvachos. They didn't cause trouble to Yosef. Who says this? The Zohar Kodesh says this. Okay, there we are. Let's move on. Bechila, is that where we are? Now, the leftover blood is going on the Yesod Mizbeach, and it's essential that you pour the shirayim. Now, is it essential to do the shirayim? Now it says, at the end of the power of the Sa'ir, you finish doing all these various kaparas, the one in the Kodesh Kodashim, the one in the Almoed, the Mizbeach, is to some say in Kila, let's say you've used up all the blood. Kippur is still okay. Right? But if you didn't finish using the blood, you've not done enough. Some say in Kippur, look, if you did all the matalas you meant to do, Kila, then you finish the Avodah. But if you didn't do all the ones you're meant to do, you've not finished. So the question is, this Shirayim, is it so essential or not? So Rabbi Vav Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, there's an argument. Mandam, the one who says Kippur, in Kippur, if you did all the Maaseh Kapara, Kila, then you finished everything else okay. And Shirayim, Ma'akvin, then pouring it down the side doesn't matter if you didn't do it. However, the Mandam Kila, the one who says if you finish it, Kippur, if you finish it, it's okay, then Shirayim Ma'akvin, pouring down the side is essential. If you don't do it, it's no good. If Shimon Levi Amay said Mashmos Benen, they're not actually arguing in Din. The question is how they learn the drashas. But Mina Shirayim, pouring the leftovers down the side, Ein Shirayim Ma'akvin. He says definitely everyone holds it's not essential. Shimon Levi, he says Ein Shirayim Ma'akvin. He also says it's not Ma'akev, it's not essential. Ma'akadun. So why are they arguing about the pasuk? So Mandam, the one who says in Kila Kippur, look, if you finish everything, Aisan, you make the 4 corners like Ka'aba Matanis, like 4 separate applications. So you might have thought it's like 4 done on the 4 corners, like on the outer Mizbeach, let's say, where 1 is good enough. So the pasuk says no, you have to do all 4. If you don't do all 4, it's no good. Mandam, the one who says in Kippur, if you did all Maaseh Kapara Kila, then you finished. He treats all 4 like 1. So the Torah never had to stress that they're all essential. Because it's clear that they're all essential, because they're all considered like 1. So he says the pasuk is not telling you, all he's telling you is if you did all Maaseh Kapara, the 4, then you finished it. Now we brought Rabbi Yochanan, Machlokes Tanaim, if pouring the Shirayim on Yom Kippur, you decide if that's essential or not. So only learned in a Brayso, Amir Shmuel says, look, I don't need to tell you that blood of an Oila It has to go in the corners, connected to each side. And we've got a Kal Haloshon here. Let's see. Ma'am shiarei chatas she'enan mechaprin. Look, you got a chatas, a normal chatas. Pouring the leftovers down your side is not part of the essential part of the avodah, right? That definitely is not essential. A normal chatas, you pour the blood down your side. It's not essential. And yet, it goes on the inside. On the inside. So tchilas oila. Now the main blood applications of an oila shehi mechaperes, which is essential, einadin shetinasin ali yisayid. Definitely, it should also go on the side afterwards. Amar Rabbi Akiva says, no. Imamatu shari chatas. Look, a chatas leftovers is not essential. It doesn't provide forgiveness. But he said, okay, it goes on the side. That's the essential part of the avodah of an oila. Like the first blood applications, Ruila Chaper provides the forgiveness. How much more so it should go on the quarters of the Mizbeach facing the east side. Now, basically, we've got this Kal Haloshon. Rabbi Akiva adds that the blood shirayim of a chatas are not a kapara, whereas dam oila is ru'uya lachaper. So what's this point here? So Mandam, the one says, Ein machaprin. Rabbi Yishmael said, look, blood of a chatas is not machaper. He doesn't say it's not fitting to provide a kapara. He holds leftovers, Ein machaprin. They never provide any forgiveness. Even the rest of the year. Never. Leftovers, shirayim, extras. Yom Kippurim, with the inner chatas, there Shira Adam is mechaprin. That's essential, he says. Yom Kippur, the shirayim is essential. You can't tell me that the shirayim is not fitting to give a kapara, because it is. Whereas Mandam, the one who says Eina mechaprin, is not mechaper, the leftover blood the rest of the year of a chatas. Eina mechaper, he says Ein mechaprin, they never provide a kapara. Lo b'sha'ashana, not the rest of the year, but lo b'yom Kippur, no Yom Kippur. So Rabbi Akiva and Kal Haloshon includes this as well. Dam oila is roy lechaper, shiarei chatas is never a kapara. Now, ma'akim kayomin. Now, what are we talking about here? The leftover chatas is not machaper. What are we talking about? Imla mitzvah. Well, ideally you should do it. Are you going to tell me that it's a mitzvah to do it? There's no chiyuv to do it. But definitely, mitzvah litin. You should definitely put the shirayim at the base of the mizbeach. In a mitzvah, you can't be talking about that today. In Leikub, let's say it's essential. And maybe according to Yishmael, the pouring of shirei adam chatas Yom Kippur on the side maybe is machaper. Maybe it means it's essential. And according to Rabbi Akiva, it's not machaper. It's not essential. Amar of Shammai Masnisa Amar the Brisa says shirayim ma'akvin. We're going to say that shirayim is definitely essential. The Tanina. Now we have learned. Now we've got a Brisa. We're talking about the outer chatas, a normal chatas. If it went by mistake on the bottom half of the mizbeach, right? The bottom half of the mizbeach. Now, we learn that when the blood is spilt, where the chatas is pasul, can't be eaten. Now, we have a pasuk telling it to me. You can't learn from a bird chatas. Now, a bird chatas, the blood is meant to go on the bottom half of the mizbeach, but an animal's not learned from that. And if it was put a bird chatas on the top half, now it's meant to be the bottom half. But if you put it on the top half, it's pasul, right? And it's not machaper. So a chatas animal then, you put the blood in the wrong place, it's pasul, not machaper. Now, this is a svara. I don't need a drosha for this. If it doesn't work for a bird, if you put it in the wrong half, why should it work for an animal? The Gemara says you can't learn from a bird. Because malatachtonim, now, blood of a bird, chatas ha'if, shimnastan lemala. Now, if you put it in the top half, no good. Lo yotzu, because ein mehen chakarev lemala. But nothing, no part of it is brought on the mizbeach there. Toma b'yonim. However, the upper blood of a chatas behema, if you put it on the bottom half of the mizbeach, so it might work. Sheyesh mehen kol lamatan. Some of the shivrayim goes below anyway. Yeah, if you put the applications below, but at least the shivrayim goes below. So therefore, maybe it's not so bad. So I might have thought, if you put it in the bottom half, the main blood applications, it's okay. So the pasuk tells me it's not okay. But then the Gemara says, wait a minute. There's this svara to allow blood in the wrong place, if that is where the shirayim were. Why should you say that? Because the inner chatos, that's the ones on Yom Kippur, right? Chatos, inner chatos, yesh mehen kor bachutz, the shirayim goes on the outer mizbeach, and even so, nostan bachutz, if you put the main applications on the outer mizbeach, lo yotzu, is no good. So the same thing in outer chatos, You can't allow it if you put the main applications in the wrong place, even if this place is a place where Shiraim go. So why do I need a pasuk? It's obvious it's not going to work. So the Gemara says, no, you can't learn from an inner chatas. Because male penimim, now an inner chatas, that's the chatas penimim, if you put it outside, if not bachutz, lohus is no good. She'em mizbeach b'malkon, the inner mizbeach doesn't finish the avodah. They need another avodah for the kapara to work. They need more blood applications. So maybe they're more severe, and therefore it's possible you put it in the wrong place. As opposed to an outer chatas, an outer chatas you put above, it could be nosan lamata huzah, maybe you put it below, it will be okay. Sharei, corona is because the corners is the final part of it. But makanos, and that is the end of the avodah. There's no other avodah to do with it. And since the corners finishes off the avodah, you might have thought that if you put it in the bottom half of the mizbeach, it should be okay. That's why it says that what sheyitin damal and malam, that dafka, if you put the blood above, then the carbon's kasher can be eaten. Below sheyitin damal and matam. If you put the blood below, then it's possible and it can't be eaten. Now, so we're saying now that the blood on the inner mizbeach finishes the avodah of a kapara with a chatos penimi, because there's still an avodah. It doesn't finish the avodah because there's still something to do outside, which is pouring the shirayim on the outer mizbeach. So it comes out from this brisa, pouring shirayim of an inner chatos on the side outside is essential for the kapara. Now, mahu, what does it mean when it says the inner mizbeach doesn't finish everything? Why not? What does that mean? It doesn't finish the avodah that you should make the rest of the blood shirayim. Sha'aliyadei badin, by the sprinkling of between the poles and the kodesh kedoshim, and by sprinkling on the paroiches, which is on the and together with the applications on the gold mizbeach, hey nasas shirayim, the blood becomes leftovers. So what does the brisa mean? This chumrah applies with the chatas penimi. We can't learn from here the fact that it doesn't help with an outer chatas, that also dam chatas chitzona shouldn't help the matter. Basically, you can't learn it from here, right? Because here there's all these avodas that need doing. Let's see this again. He says, "Einam mizbeach penimi b'malkan." What does it mean? It doesn't finish the avodah to make the rest of the blood shirayim. Because you need all three things. You need the badin, you need to put it in the kodesh kedoshim, you need it on the paroiches, right? And you need it on the mizbeach penimi, and then the rest of the blood becomes shirayim. Just the blood application is not enough, right? You need all the three sections, right? So there's a chumrah here with the inner chatas penimi. There's three things you have to do. So don't start learning from here. Oh, it doesn't help with outer mizbeach, outer chatas. Dam chatas chitzayna is not going to help lamata. Maybe it's different. So we can't prove that shirayim on the side is ma'akev with the avodah. Rabbi Yosef said, Masnisa Amra, actually the Mishnah says clearly, she'ena shirayim ma'akvin, shirayim are not essential. So it's an inner, we've learned, im lai nasan lai ikev. It says chatas penimi, etc. It was left. If you didn't do it, it doesn't matter. Right? Although earlier on we said Machlekes Tanaim, now the Gemara brings a stam Mishnah in Ezel Makaiman that holds that shirayim are not ma'akev. Okay. Rabbu Kivshem Rabbi Yochanan. Masnis Arba Shirayim Ma'akvin. Brisa says the leftovers of the chatas penimi on the side, the leftovers on the side is essential. The Tanina, we've learnt. Now it talks about the Avodah of Yom Kippur. There's HaKodesh. There's HaOmayed. Mizbeach. Right? And it says V'chippah is Migdash HaKodesh. Zeh lifnai v'lifnim. That's the Holy of Holies. V'zeh HaOmayed. Zeh HaHechal. There's Mizbeach. The Mizbeach HaZahav. Yechapeh. Afal HaZorais. Now, Ma'aslach kapara, what in the Azara? What kapara is in the Azara? What's left? Lai shirayim is only the shirayim on the outer mizbech. What else can it be? And the Brisa learns, the Torah puts all the shirayim included in all things which are essential. So this Brisa at least holds that pouring the shirayim on the side is essential for the kapara. Rabbun Bachia Boy, he asked, Commander Amar shirayim ma'akvin, if according to the one who says that shirayim are essential, Mekaiman, must it be on the west side? Ma'akev, is that essential? Or maybe on the side? It doesn't matter if it be on the west side. Noisei b'layla, can you put the shirayim at night? Or does it have to be in the day? Sheichat alem batchila, can you shecht another animal to start with that? If you've got no blood left, can you shecht another animal to get shirayim? If the shirayim got spilt, you have to. Can you shecht another animal to get shirayim? Chavraiba, they asked, Machashev lahen, can you have a machshava pigul on the shirayim? Would that puzzle the carbon? Right? If you pour the shirayim thinking he's going to do the amurim tomorrow, would that puzzle or not? Rav Yudanbai, after he asked if they got lost, mine was the din. Is it essential? Srichale. Rav Yudan had a question. You start putting the shirayim on the inside, and then you lost a bit before you finished it. If you hadn't yet put, and then it got lost, then everyone agrees only what's left. Shirayim, there's shirayim that goes on the as essential. If you lost it before that, and there's no blood left, then it's not ma'akev, the kashrus of a carbon. So all these questions we have no answer. Tiny related to Brisa. Mailin hayu, the people were chayav meila if they used the blood bedamim of karbonos before they were redeemed. So remember, the blood will go into the nachal kidron, they will buy as fertilizer, and you're chayav meila if you didn't pay for it. When they said ei meila bedamim, they said no, there's no meila with the blood. So we learn ein lecha bo'el kaparas nefesh b'vad. You see here, there's no kedusha. Only there's no kedusha. There's no meila here. There's kaparas nefesh. It's a kapara, but there's no meila on this blood. He said, with eating the blood, it says, Kol Haloshon yikares ein lecha bo'el kaparas nefesh b'vad. There's eating it. There's no other punishment. Even if you got benefit from the blood, there's no other punishment. It's only eating of kores. Arazira, higdish dam benen. The difference between them, if you made this blood of an animal holy for bedek habayis, right? What's the thing? The one who says ein lecha bo'el kaparas nefesh b'vad, when there's a kapara, so this blood, it's not carbon blood. It's bedek habayis, treasury fund. However, by kapara, it's not there for any forgiveness. Therefore, yesh bar meila. Meila will apply. There'll be sacrilege. It will be belonging to hekdesh. You'll have to bring kol meila. Man dama, the one who says en lecha bo'el kares nefesh, but zeni kares for eating, that's any blood. So this blood's there. However, yesh by kares, there's kares in eating it. Therefore, ein by meila. There's no meila for using it out. Ask Rabbi Chiv Shem Rabbi Yochanan, hikdish dam lebedek habayis. If you made blood holy for the bedek habayis, then that's the case, but now that's an argument. Rav Zira said this, and now when he heard it, his name Rav Yochanan Chadiba is really happy. Wow, that's what Rav Yochanan said. I got it right. So he thought that this Rav Yochanan is going to Chachamim's view. There's no meila with blood. Amalei Rav Baba said to him, how do you know that Rav Yochanan dash on this and the difference according to the Chachamim? Rav Shimon itamat. It was said even according to Rav Shimon or Meir, even then there's meila in the blood. It means the chiyuv meila mid rabbanan, but everyone agrees there's no meila in our Torah. So the words of Rav Yochanan could be according to all opinions. Rabbi Baba read Rav Chiv Abba, Kach Meshivin, Rav Meir, Rav Shimon L'Chacham. This is what he said. Ilu machra. Look, let's say you sold the gizbar. He sold the blood of karbonos. Shema ela tovis the man. Is there no kedusha on the money that was paid for them? There's definitely kedusha on that money. So there's meila with the money. So ma ben adam, ma ben temen. What's the difference between the blood itself and the money that was paid for it? Just like there's meila on the blood, so there's meila on the money as well. Actually, the other way around. So there's meila on the money, so there's meila on the blood. Now, selling the blood through the treasurers, causing the money that was paid, to be holy, right? And this is not so straightforward. Opalik, Rabbi Bar argues, Alahid Amar, on that which Rabbi Lazar said. He said, Yesh Mehen, there are things of Hekdesh, Shamar, where they said, Lai Nanim, Lai Malin, you mustn't get benefit, but if you did, you're not over meila. And in Machrad, and if the gizbar sold it, the kedusha does not go with the money of the sale. The yeshmehen, the other things, shamra, they said, you mustn't get benefit, but if you did, you're not over Isamila. Nevertheless, in Machrad, if the gizbar sold it, the kedusha does hold onto the money of the sale. So it's not straightforward. Some things the money kedusha, the money you receive, the gizbar receives, gets holiness, and some things the money of the treasurer receives does not get holiness. So let's give examples. So dishin mizbeach hapnim menorah, cleaning out the inner mizbeach and the menorah, like ne'anim, like moilin. There's no meila there. So in Machran, if the gizbar sold it, tofes is to man. Then the kedusha does go onto the money that was paid. Damim, now blood that was spilled on the Mizbeach and goes to the Nachal Kridron, the din is loin in, you shouldn't get benefit. Loin is no Isamila. Machron, if the Gizba sold it, ain't no Tofas is demand. The Kedusha does not hold onto the sale. So even a place where Gizba sells things, but you can't get benefit, the holiness does not necessarily transfer to the money that was paid for that item, right? And this view goes against the view of Rabbi Bar. All the things of Yom Kippur which are said in order, if you do things out of order, it's no good. If you did the blood of the goat before the bull, Yasa, go back. Go and do the goats again after the pa. Let's say before you finish the applications to the Holy of Holies, Nishbach Hadam, the blood got spilled. Right? You haven't done the Holy of Holies yet, the blood got spilled. Yavid Amacha, bring new blood. Start again in the Holy of Holies. If it got spilled before you finish the ones on the Paroiches, and you haven't finished, what do? Then and also Mizbach Hazav. You don't go around to doing the ones around the God of Mizbeach. You slaughter again, and you do all the Hazah, so everything you start again, right? You don't have to start. Now he says here, you don't have to go back to the Kodesh Kodashim. You don't have to go back to the Paroiches. So he says you can go back to the stage you're at now. Shekulan, each one of the three stages, Kapara are their own right. Kapara in their own right. So if the blood got spilt in after the earlier two stages, you don't have to go back to the stages that have already been completed. The rest of Shimon, when they said B'makom shepasak, from where the Kohen Gadol stopped, Misham hu maschil, from there you start. You don't have to go back even to the beginning of that Seder. So he holds, you just exactly carry on where you stopped. The others say no, if that's Seder, you have to start again from that section. Okay? When do we say if you did things out of order? The avodah is done in the Holy of Holies, and you're wearing the white clothes, big day love on. Now things outside, you might be wearing white, but you're doing things outside, the big day love on, in the Heichal. If you do things out of order, so that's fine. That's okay. They said, even things that are done outside, and you're wearing white, the big day love on, you change the order, no good. They both lost in the same pasuk. Now the pasuk says, it's an everlasting statute, once a year. So what is it once a year? So Rabbanan, they said, when you go in the Holy of Holies once a year, Avodah the Yom Kippur in the Holy of Holies, right, where you're wearing white. And that also, things you're wearing white. Now that includes things in the Heichal as well where you're wearing white. So they're also essential. Rabbi Yehuda, he said no. Is the place you go into once a year. And that's the Avodah done in the Kodesh Kodashim. Okay, Rav Yosef Shem Rapas. Now we've said the Avodah of the goat is pasul if you do it before the Avodah of the bull. Now Matados, it says with the blood, which is done between the poles, the badim of the Aron, and now that's where this din applies. And Matados HaParoiches, now as far as the blood applications on the Paroiches, Hasoyim Ma'akev Sapar, so if you sprinkle the par blood on the Paroiches, right, listen to this, you sprinkle the par blood on the Paroiches, and you've not yet sprinkled the goat in the Holy of Holies, you've not yet sprinkled the goat in the Kodesh Kodashim, then the par blood you've done now is possible. You have to do it again after you do the goat in the Holy of Holies. So you have to finish the Holy of Holies before we start here. It says, if Shachar is Sasayeh, also what happens, you slaughtered the Sayeh first, and then you took the blood of the par, and now said B'tchila, what was done first, slaughtering the Sayeh, Kasha is okay. Although it was done earlier, Shchita is an avodah done outside the Holy of Holies. It's not possible if it was done out of order. If the par blood got spilt, after you did the sprinkling in the Holy of Holies, then the par blood got spilt. And the goat blood you still have. Maybe paracha. Are you not going to bring another par and slaughter it because you need to sprinkle now the other sprinklings? The kasha. And even so, the blood of the goat remains kosher. So now you have goat blood and there's no par blood. You're going to bring another par for the various stages, and you've got goat blood here. Although the soyer was slaughtered before the second par, it's okay. So we should allow the blood of a soyer, even if it's slaughtered before the sprinkling of the Kodesh Kedoshim as well. Let's say, what's the problem if it was received before, it was slaughtered before the Hazar? What does it matter? And Rabbi Yosef proves about a case where the blood of the par was spilt after the soy was slaughtered, before it was sprinkled in the Holy of Holies. And that's what his case is talking about. Implication is, had it got spilt after the sprinkling of the goat, then we wouldn't have a raya from there. So what's the svara? So it's all very well if it's okay if you've not yet sprinkled the goat. But if we sprinkled the goat already, then it's no good. Ma ben shachab, what difference is there if you shechted the second par, ad shalonis, and before you put the blood of the goat in the Holy of Holies, and ma ben shachab v'shanasan, what difference is there where you shecht it after you put the blood of the goat in the Holy of Holies? So he says, Ilo ama v'nasan yos, even if Rabbi Yossi had said, you're putting the blood of the goat in the Kodesh Kedoshim before the blood of the par was spilt, it would still be a raya, because as far as the sprinkling, as far as the paroches, the goat was still slaughtered before the par. So what's the difference between the cases? Very good question. I'm afraid the Gemara does not answer. To be continued, Rabbi Say. Is there not much long till the end of the parak? Oh, we'll carry on. Okay. Now we spoke about if the dam of the par or the dam of the soy got spilt before you sprinkled the blood, you have to slaughter another animal, make up the other matanos. Where do you start from? Do you start from that seder, or do you start from where you were up to? Right? Rabbanan Amar, they said shalosh lekosher v'shalosh lipsul. There were 3 stages with the blood which to allow a korban. You got kodesh kedoshim, you got paroches, you got golden mizbeach, and there are 3 that become puzzled through machshava pigul. So each stage can be a kapara in its own right, and it doesn't help unless everything was done properly. So if the blood was spilt in the middle of a seder, you have to start from that seder. With a psul, it's not possible with machshava pigul unless you had the machshava throughout that seder. If you just had a thought with one sprinkling, it wouldn't be possible. So he goes at the seder in its entirety. From Lashon of Shimon Omrim, they said, Abayim v'shalish, there's 43 applications l'kosher, each one is essential. Abayim v'shalish l'psul, each of them is essential. Each of them can create a pigul situation. Each application in its own right. Rabbanan Omrim, they said, Kol sheva v'sheva, each 7 is a kapara b'fnei atzma, is a kapara in its own right. But it's not really 7, is it? It's like, at the beginning you have 8, and then 8, and then you have 4, and then you have 7. So each one is a hazor, is kapara b'fnei atzma. Whereas with Shimon, they said kol echad v'echad. Each one, each sprinkle is a kapara b'fnei atzma, is in its own right. Rav Zir Shimon Rav Lazar. Talmud Rav Shimon. Where did they get it from? V'chila mekabes hakodesh and the Amoed and the Mizbeach. Is Lashon Mechaper, Afilu Ein Shem Ela Matana Achas. One application has to be right. If you got spilt, slaughter another animal to get it right. Amra Torah Kale, you have to finish the avodah, do everything. All right? You don't have to start from that seder. You have to do where you're up to, and you do that. Right? Amra Blazer said, Nasa mixas matanos. If you put some of the blood, the nishbach adam, and then the blood got spilled before you finish the matanas. Maybe acherim, bring more blood to finish the dam and to finish the blood. Eilu ve'eilu. Now, whether it's the blood from the first animal or the blood from the second animal, nishbachan can be tzvasan. They can all be spilt as their mitzvah down to your side. Right? It sounds like the blood left from 2 animals. Right? You messed up in the middle. The blood got spilled. You might have a tiny bit left. You haven't got enough. All the applications. You bring another animal. All the blood goes to your side. Now, like a chatos apinimi. Now, that's poshet. Each of the bloods are doing matanos. They're not possible. There's nothing wrong with them. So, of course, they're shirayim. They should go on the mizbeach. What's he telling us? Lachein tzrich, he's taking it like this. When one of them has a problem, one of the blood is possible, and the shirayim can't be poured down the mizbeach. Right? Now, the 2 animals are completing here. You might have thought the psula of shirayim of one will passel the other, because they're all essential. So you might think shirayim of one will passel the other. So Rebbe Lezer says, no, it's not that. All the blood of the animal is poured in its place. That's kosher, goes on the outer mizbeach. That which is passel goes in the canal, which goes in the azara. You hear that? So one doesn't passel the other. Rabbi Yosef, the Yas, and that's right. Because if you put some applications and the blood got spilled, I'm going to bring more. There's still din me'ila on the leftovers of the first one. Because it's fitting to use the sprinkle from that blood. And since the shiraim of the first one still have kedusha, therefore it can be poured on the side. Rabbi Lezer doesn't have to tell me this. It must be, his words are said for another situation, where one blood was possible. That was the case. One of the bloods got possible, that can't go on the side, the other one can. Ad Kedun, that's all very well that the leftovers of the blood, which is kosher, can go on the side. You slaughtered the first animal, the first part, the first goat, the shem kosher, for good, for kosher things, without any wrong thoughts. And shneim, you shechted the second animal, the shem psul, with a problem. Then, but what would be the din where shachted shneim the shem psul? If the first one had the wrong thought, there's a shneim the shem kosher, and the second one was right. Would the leftovers of the second animal be poured on the side? Right? So what happened? You slaughtered the first one with a problem. The second one you did right. Does that second one shiraim go on the side? Rav Yosef, Mazina psul. Now we find situations where you go through an avodah and a psul in a carbon removes a pickle status. Remember, pickle is where you have one thing wrong. You're thinking the wrong time, wrong place. If you do something else wrong, then there's no kares anymore. It's just pasul. So here, Mazina psul, miad pickle. Pasul later on in the process removes a pickle status from earlier on. But Mazina psul, miad kosher, we don't find a psul removing a kashrus of a carbon and stop it happening. Therefore, if the first blood was pasul, the second blood coming later can be poured on the side of the mizbeach. It's not affected by the earlier blood from earlier on.